in 3 and 2 and 1.
Over to you, Manish.
Okay. Yeah. Good evening and welcome to everyone. Namaskar. My name is Manish Chavla. I am the co-founder of platform, livelihood platform called Jeevitam. It is a tech-enabled livelihood platform wherein we help people find sustainable livelihood. This is our 30th webinar of the series, Jeevitam Part 2 Livelihood Webinar Series, wherein we are trying to reimagine the existing college placement process. Okay, we started more than 6 months back, wherein we looked at the problem of students finding sustainable livelihood in the ongoing crisis, and this made us relook at the way existing college placement is done. While we were doing that, started asking around 5 questions, and the basic questions were primarily on, when this crisis, when the colleges are closed, okay, and students are at home and corporates not traveling, can college placement drive still take place? That was the first question we asked. Second question we asked was, can it also happen in colleges in tier 2, tier 3 cities where it has never ever happened? Why it has to only happen in IITs and IIMs of the world and the premier institutes of the world? I believe every college has this opportunity, have the students have this opportunity and the right to do college placement drives. Third question we said, in why it has to be only for MBA and BTech students? Why don't we do it for BA, BCom, BSc diploma holders? That's something which we had in mind. Fourth was, why it has to, only do for the final year students. We said, there are enough opportunities for the first year, second year, third year students, part-time, freelancer, apprenticeship, startups. The whole world is opening up. It is in India only where we have this concept of my papa, my ATM. Okay, I think when the students do come out, they are not work ready. That's the irony of the thing. So we said, why do not we do college placement drives, for the first year, second year, third year students also? Lastly, why this college placement drive has to be done as a tick box, wherein we have, in the final, when the final year students graduate, we do once in a year and we just done with it. We said, why don't we do this college placement webinars till all the students in the college becomes Atmanirbhar, till every student in our country becomes Atmanirbhar? Why don't we keep doing these college placement drives? So I'm just sharing with you a lot of positive is happening. Last week we did a college placement. We did a virtual work IBM and CSC, which is the Government of India undertaking. And I'm happy to share around 10,000 people, 10,000 women, I should say, not people, participated for open over 10,000 positions. And it was a big success. Because of that ongoing success now, we are doing another virtual work fair for agripreneurs and agriculture sector, and then we want to do it for BFSI sector, then for startups. So this whole, Jeevitam is taking a lead in, disrupting the livelihood space. We are taking a lead in, helping students, helping everyone in, in the country find sustainable livelihood. Jeevitam is on a mission, which is mission for life. So really happy. I know, I have, she's brings a lot of experience, a lot of, value. She's going to be there. So happy and welcome Nakshi for this webinar. Mr. Kuldeep, I think Kuldeep sir is a big support to us. You know, I remember doing my first webinar with all the colleges, all the universities, courtesy Mr. Kuldeep. So Kuldeep sir, you are a big support to us, and your presence always, you know, encourages us and helps us keep moving forward. So thank you to both of you, and I'm also thankful. You know, I'll just for everyone who are there for the first time. You know, I'll just give them a brief perspective about Jeevitam also. Jeevitam is a tech-enabled livelihood platform providing work opportunities to people across the country. We have around 1.5 crore work seekers on our platform. We work across country. We are sector agnostic. We work across country. We are in over 1,000 cities. Our aspiration is to be in every village of our country. That's the way we are working on. In this present crisis also, we had 1 million odd candidates where we matched them with the relevant opportunities. This is in this COVID time also, we were working as we are a tech-enabled platform. You know, we could reach out to these vulnerable segments. We could reach out to people who are in need and help them. We believe in collaborative model, you know, so we are working in partnership with Labor Ministry. We are now signing an MOU with the IT and IT Ministry. CSC is their initiative, is their establishment where we are having an MOU signed up. We are working with state governments, MP and UP government. We are working with top corporates. We are working with philanthropy organization. IBM CSR Skill Build is a thing. We are working with Google, for example, you know, Google Corpo Jobs. So we are helping them find candidates for the open opportunities on their platform. So we are, we are really on a mission. And thank you again. You know, over to you, KG.
Thank you, Manish. Srishti will now play us the video of Jeevitam. Over to you, Srishti.
Yes, we will be sharing a video. Just a minute, please.
स्कूल की लाइन में लगे एक आंख बंद किए इधर उधर ताकते, इसका मतलब शायद मालूम ही नहीं था। कॉलेज की भीड़ में दोस्तों के साथ ठाके लगाते भी कामयाबी पानी तो थी, मगर हम होंगे कामयाब ये सोचने की ना जरूरत थी ना मौका। माँ की नसीहतें और पिता के सहारे के बीच हम के मायने समझना मतलब तो तब समझ आया जब जिंदगी ने हाथ छोड़। तुम्हारी लड़ाई है, सिर्फ तुम्हारी। गिरो उठो, फिर लड़ो, फिर गिरो, फिर उठो। अगर लड़ने ने, गिरने ने और गिरकर उठने ने हिम्मत तो जगाई ही, साथ ही जगाया यकीन। और इस यकीन को हकीकत बनाने में आपके साथ है जीवतम।
अब परिवर्तन लाना है, लक्ष्य तो हमें पाना है, होंगे कामयाब एक दिन। कामयाब एक दिन, होंगे कामयाब एक दिन।
आइए मिलकर भारत को कामयाब बनाते हैं।
सरकार की सहायता रोजगार के साथ जोड़ करके नई इकाइयों के लिए सरकार अब योजना बनाए। देश में रोजगार के अवसर बढ़े, उस पर हम बल देना चाहते हैं।
Thank you, Srishti, and gives me the opportunity to welcome our speakers and our collaborating college, Tirthankar University. This was our 30th webinar. It has been a long journey, and we keep learning about the nation as we move across various parts of the nation. And on a day like this, we couldn't have had better speakers to speak to students who are from the technology background. Mr. Kuldeep Darkar, who happens to be Deputy Secretary, Administration E and Evaluation, the Association of Indian Universities. He is a result-driven professional, and his experience speaks for itself. Many of you will not know that he was a project manager in the Indian Navy when he started his career. And post that, he worked for JP Morgan and had an extremely rich experience in the IT field there, across machine learning, bid management of IT, non-IT projects, and leverage, and he was highly leveraged. And JP Morgan definitely, I'm sure, was a benefactor of a brilliant person like Mr. Kuldeep Dagar. He did his BTech IT from Kurukshetra University and then went on to do his MTech from IIT Kharagpur. He also has done his executive PG diploma course in operations and supply chain management from IIM Lucknow. He is presently contributing to the internationalization of higher education and study in Indian program, integration of artificial intelligence in higher education and evaluation of foreign degrees. In the role that he currently is in, he is going to bring about sea change in the way universities across the nation are going to be very differently poised in the global economy. Thank you, Mr. Kuldeep Dagar, for joining us, and thank you for accepting our invite. I think your presence is going to really enlighten students in this webinar. Let me move on to Nakshi Vasishta, extremely highly experienced personality. She is the former Vice President Commercial of GATX. And if you look at her profile on LinkedIn, from her work experience, you will know what kind of a diversified leader she has been. Though she has been in the financial services space for a long time, for almost 2 decades, and is currently on a sabbatical now, extremely busy person. She has been in the commercial, business development, risk and strategy function, and other functional areas. She has successfully established a leading global car leasing company in India as its commercial lead. Her expertise is in stakeholder and C-suite management, strategic planning, transaction structuring, pricing, contract management and negotiations, corporate appraisals, leasing, key account management, portfolio management, and credit risk analysis. I think we look at her profile, not only will you be enthralled by her depth of knowledge and experience, she's more than happy to interact with students and share her life experiences for the benefit of them as they are at the stepping stone of their careers in life. Thank you, Nakshi, for accepting our invite, and I'm sure the students will lap up the kind of advice we are going to give them in the next hour. Thank you, Meenakshi, and thank you, Kuldeep Dagar.
Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome, and thanks for having us over. Yeah, happy to share our views with the students.
Welcome to Tirthankar Mahadev University, Moradabad. In fact, the entire process of having a joint webinar is always a complex process. But if you have Vikram Raina, the Assistant Director Training and Placement, who's your partner, that process becomes from a very complex process to a very simple process. And a very warm man who has got a complete control over the function that he has was well identified by us when he brought in 4 brilliant students, Ritik, Shubham, Vidhi, and Shankar, onto this webinar. So welcome to this group. And now I would request Mr. Vikram to speak a few words about the university and introduce us to him.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for introducing me, and a warm welcome to all the speakers on the panel. I am very privileged to be having partnered with Jeevitam on this webinar session, and we'll be doing some good work together moving on in the future time. Let me introduce to you the university, Tirthankar Mahaveer University, based out of Moradabad. It is a Jain minority university and a fully equipped university in its own right. has been there for last 20 odd years now. It started off as Tirthankar Mahavir Institute of Management and Technology in Moradabad. So finally it graduated to be a university around 2008 onwards. The institution has 15 disciplines, and in these 15 disciplines, we have every discipline that one can think of, starting off from medical to physiotherapy, to dental, to pharmacy, to engineering, to computer science, mass communication, uh, etc. So we have management is one more field that we have. This institution is based out of in Moradabad. It is in a lush green 140-acre space area, and has its own cricket ground, which is a Ranji Trophy ground, as for UP, and has an indoor stadium which houses one basketball ground and three badminton courts in full in the indoor area space. So this university has 15 disciplines, and it boasts of having produced around 14,000 students over a period of 10, 12 years now after becoming a university. Every year it has around 4,000 to 6,000 students in various disciplines that I've talked about already. We as an institution have been growing and would like to be seen as the premier institution in this region. And with the leadership that we have with Mr. Suresh Jain, the Chancellor of the university, taking it forward from scratch that he started this university from. Now we are wanting to be become in the big league of universities. So our work towards it is happening. We are trying to bring in best of the courses. The curriculum that we are doing is we are changing the curriculum every 2 years so that we are in sync with the current market curriculum and the kind of teaching learning that happens in the university is through the state of art and technology that we all see, like smart boards is one of them. We have already included that in our classrooms. So two classrooms are the ones that have smart board, wherein we can have an online class simultaneously with a physical class happening in that room. So that is one important development that I can think of in my university that has happened in the recent after the COVID has struck this country. So this has enabled us to become to be in reach with the students at their home, at their doorsteps. Meanwhile, once the student is there in the classroom, also he can be taught in both the mediums, may be it offline or online modes. So this university has been taking up initiatives of such kind, though very cautiously, but very affirmatively, so that no everybody gets the benefit out of uh, the kind of focus that we have for about university. So the placements of the universities have seen a rise in coming in years that uh, it has been growing since last 5-10 years, and with this new challenge of having online placements, we have been lucky enough to have around 23 organizations already visited through virtual mode in our campus, be it TCS, be it Cognizant, Wipro, HCL, Infosys. So all these have done their virtual campuses. TCS was a very it was an open kind of a platform that they were using, while Wipro had done their virtual campus through our medium, through our labs. and everybody was available in their hometown and took part in the process. So yes, we have been lucky enough to have that kind of opportunity and that kind of leadership that helped us to leverage the new technology that we all think about. The only thing that I can think of about the university is that it wants to be the best in the this region, and hope that the way we are performing, we will be reaching that goal of ours very soon. So that's a little bit about Tirthankar Mahavir University. It has all the courses that we can think of in terms of computer science, BTech, BCA, BSc, and MCA. And we have engineering courses like BTech in electronics, mechanical, electrical, and civil engineering. Apart from these, we have applied sciences courses in chemistry, physics, maths, be it BSc or MSc. Both UG and PG courses are running in our university successfully. We have an 800-bed hospital, which became a COVID hospital for this particular region, and we cater to the human requirement in this trying time. And with the support of the government, we were able to put down the COVID numbers in the region and serve the humanity the way it was required to. So this is the university. I thank KG sir for giving me an opportunity to be partner in this webinar. Hope all the students who are hearing us will benefit from the discussions that we do today, and the kind of questions that my students would be asking, and everybody benefits from those deliberations today. Thank you very much, KG Mohan sir, and happy listening from my part as such. I'm sorry may have to sign off because I'm not feeling well. I had a bout of illness right now, and I'll be taking a medicine and taking it easy a little bit. Thank you very much for inviting me and having us here, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vikram. Thanks a lot. And please take rest. Before we start off the webinar, I just want to give a context of Moradabad. It was named after Shah Jahan's youngest son, Murad Baksh.
Yes, sir.
We have had some great people from the city. Arun Lal, a cricketer. We have had Javed Jafri.
Yes, yes. Javed Jafri is from us. Yes, yes. Very much, very much. It's known for its brass, as a brass town.
Very true.
Very famous.
And very importantly, what we would like to say is that these towns in this country are the ones that are going to be the engines of growth for this country. And these colleges that are all across are going to define what that $5 trillion economy that we're running after. Colleges and universities like this will definitely contribute a large part of the journey. And I think Mr. Kuldeep can also talk about that sometime during this webinar and tell us about how the tier 2 and tier 3 town colleges and universities are going to bring about the change they're looking out for.
Yes, sir.
So, thanks a lot, Mr. Vikram, and we will jump into the webinar directly.
Yes, sir.
Srishti takes over now. Srishti will introduce the students and the questions thereon. Over to you, Srishti.
Thank you so much, KG sir. So this is a student for the student. This is a webinar for the students by the students. So let's go on to them. So we have with us Shankar Dutt, and he's a student of the final year BCA. So his friends and family call him Suraj. And he hails from Moradabad only. His father is a priest and his mother is a homemaker. He has a brother and a sister. Both are in class 10th. His hobbies are riding bikes, exploring new places, and making new friends. His ambition is to become an IAS officer. So a fun fact about him is that he likes to talk to his dog when no one is listening to him. So very interesting. I would request please ask your question, Shankar, to our esteemed panelist Kuldeep sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. मेरा क्वेश्चन है कुलदीप सर से कि सर जैसे हमारा जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं या जो हम अभी बच्चे पढ़ रहे हैं उनका सबसे पहला क्वेश्चन यही होता है जब वो किसी जॉब के लिए जाते हैं, क्या हमारा जैसे हम जॉब के लिए जाते हैं हमारा फर्स्ट स्टेप होना क्या चाहिए। कई बार हम आपस में बात करते हैं कि हम उस चीज के लिए तैयारी कर रहे हैं, लाइक कोई बच्चा जॉब के लिए आईपीएस ऑफिसर या आईटी सेक्टर में जाना चाहता है, तो उसको नहीं पता होता है कि कई बार फर्स्ट स्टेप क्या होना चाहिए।
Okay. Thank you, Shankar, for asking that question. But before I address that question, let me take this opportunity to thank you, Jeevitam, and the university for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to be part of this platform. So, like my co-panelist, Meenakshi, I also love to interact with the youth. You know, it kind of gives a feeling of that you're still young. Coming to your question, Shankar, so you want me to be bilingual or the English is okay? English, if I share my
You
views.
can speak. We encourage today's webinar to be bilingual.
All right, all
So
right.
it's
So I'll
absolutely
try to have a blend of both. So Shankar, so what happens is, as a fresher, definitely, interest is one thing. Say you get fascinated by a particular job, say you say IAS or IPS or say IT sector. There are certain aspects of that job which which you see and you feel that that's for me. So that is one aspect of it. But the real aspect of it now is that you have to understand, to be good in a particular job, you need to have certain skill set and the knowledge about that job. So say, for example, if we pick up a job, I'll say I'll pick up because government sector. Okay, let me pick up the government sector. I have the privilege to work with government as well as in the corporate sector. Say you want to crack civil services. Now, civil services, whether it is IAS, IPS, or any other further allied services, what happens is that you go through a particular kind of examination and then probably followed by interview and then based on the merit you get selected. Now, what is more important here is like in case of IAS, IPS, you may be assigned different kind of roles, but what is the common thing is that they check your kind of aptitude for that particular job. So as a beginner, you need to understand that okay, fine, I like this job, but what are the nuances involved in this job? It is always better to understand those things and then probably going for some kind of testing whether I have that kind of aptitude or skill set or not. Because you will find in the government sector, in civil services also, you may people do clear civil services, but later on when they are put on the job, they may or may not like that particular job. So first is interest is okay, but you need to understand whether the nuances which are involved and whether you have that competency and skill set to perform that job. Now, coming to the interview part, this is a hypothetical example I have given, but for a fresher, what would be more relevant is when a fresher goes for an interview. So how an interviewer, because I've taken a lot of interviews, so based on I'll be sharing my experience, like how I go about interviewing a person for a particular job. So first, as an interviewer, I understand, this particular job requires a particular kind of person with this kind of skill set to perform it efficiently and to the satisfaction level. So what I do is, how do I check whether a person has those kind of skill set and knowledge or not? So I, check what he has done in the past. The cardinal principle in interview is your past governs your future. You cannot change overnight. So, as a fresher, you obviously you don't have experience, which I can check whether how you performed in particular job. So, what I check is, as a student, you study certain areas, and I say, okay, what are your strength areas? Say you name a particular area, and then I start asking question on that just to see, not to check anything, not just the knowledge, but to see whether you have gone that kind of rigor in that particular area or not. So as a fresher, rather than to be ready for everything, you prepare certain area, and in which you put in your heart and soul, and in that process you learn a lot. So if I'm satisfied that yes, you have done that, that means you will be able to take on similar kind of opportunities in the company also. So I think my answer is getting a little lengthier. So that is one aspect. And second is, as a fresher, what I've seen is not only the skill set and knowledge, you should be good to articulate your knowledge and experience in front of the interviewer. So these two aspects are really important. Does that answer your question, Shankar?
Yes, sir. Got it, sir.
Thank you so much, Kuldeep sir, for that answer based on your experience. And I'm sure the students are going to benefit from that answer, since all of them are going to go through that phase and all of them are in the final year. So now let's move on to Vidhi. Vidhi is also a final year student of BSc. She hails from Sambhal, Uttar Pradesh. Her father is a businessman and her mother is a homemaker. She has an elder sister who is working in DXC technology. So her hobbies are playing basketball, writing quotes, reading books, and exploring new places. She's preparing for post-graduation entrance exams, and her ambition is to get a job in an MNC like Tata, Infosys, Wipro, etc. She's interested in the field of computer science and has a good knowledge of Net and Oracle. So, a fun fact about her is that she likes to talk to herself when she's confused or stuck in any problem in order to figure it out. So, she is quite Atmanirbhar. And I would request Vidhi to please ask a question to our esteemed panelist, Ms. Nakshi. Please go ahead, Vidhi. Vidhi, you are on mute. No issues. So I would just request Ritik to ask the question on behalf of Vidhi. Please go ahead, Ritik.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, question is, should one explore post-graduation after graduating, or should one look out for job opportunities? According to you, what general challenges would one face in one career?
Okay, thank you for the question. And thanks for, inviting me over again. I'd like to thank Jeevitam. So it's always good to be able to guide students, especially at this juncture when, they're just starting out on their career, because it's seen that when you start on, when you are actually getting into your career and you're at the beginning of it, and the decisions that you take at that time really have a lot of role to play in how your career would, shape going forward. So, to this question, should one explore post-graduation? So it depends on a number of factors. One is, whether you've already decided in which field you're going to be, working. If you've already taken that decision, so if it's more in the scientific field, so for example, if you're pursuing computer science and you have developed an interest towards one aspect of it, then it may be good to, you may consider going in for a post-graduation, say a master's in that field to explore, to get more, get adept at that. And then, of course, not just the job opportunities, the remuneration that you get would be better. However, very often students at this juncture are not really sure, whether they're going to be pursuing with, their field of graduation. Say, for example, most of the time you have seen people do an engineering, but they pursue an occupation which is not in the engineering field. They would do a very generic MBA, and then, after MBA, they feel that, their salaries are not up to the mark because what they have studied in MBA is an overall management skill, and the trend is changing now. Earlier, people used to, you know, do their management course right after graduation, and then they would look for a job. But right now, the trend is changing. Organizations want to initially, you know, they are also looking for people who are fresh out of campus who are still not, you know, looking to be in the managerial roles, but more starting work at the ground level, who can, you know, they can groom better, you know, in a specific field. It also gives the individuals, the people, the students, an opportunity to see whether they enjoy that particular field or not. And, you know, say what you study in a graduation level and what you actually do at work can be totally different. So you may find, you know, sales and marketing very interesting, very, you know, at a graduation level, but when you actually go out in the field, and some people just have no interest in sales, or the initial kind of jobs that they get at the starting level is not the kind of, you know, the things that you're taught in the college. There's something very, very basic. So therefore, it's good to actually work. So my suggestion would be to initially, you know, do some kind of a job. It will also equip you to know what you want, and then maybe take a pause and decide whether you want to go into a technical field. By maybe if you're in a science course, you want to do a master's in science, or you want to be in a more generic managerial role, you know, wherein you would then would want to work for some time and then take up a management degree. And for management graduates these days, you know, even for admission into management colleges, good colleges, they prefer some kind of a work experience that you can talk about. It gives you an edge in the whole admissions process. So does this answer your question? I don't know if Vidhi is there, but maybe.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. She's facing actually some internet issues. So no problem. I think this is a new normal that we have to get used to when we are all going digital. So thank you so much, ma'am, but for that answer. And I think that gives that was a very short and sweet on what they should actually look for, the students. So I think let's move on, and I would request Shubham. Shubham, please can you ask the next question to Kuldeep sir, please?
Hello. Yes, ma'am. So the question is from the Vidhi area. That is, why do companies take aptitude tests during their placement process for selection instead of taking only technical tests? Because an applicant may be good technically, and based on aptitude test may miss the chance to work in the technical field.
Okay, Shubham, thanks for asking that question. So you'll have to understand, a little background to this is a company normally when it goes for hiring is also not very clear, like where and in which job profile the company is going to use a particular individual. So what is the best strategy? That is one reason. Second is the job roles in today's time are changing so frequently that you cannot say that with one particular skill set a person can sail through his entire career without learning any new thing. So these are the 2 points. So how they are related is like this. So a technical knowledge one can acquire very, very quickly if he or she has that aptitude and skill set. So what do you mean by aptitude is that, for example, I'll say if I'm say hiring a person for a fighter pilot role, and the person is also very interested to be a fighter pilot, but then I'll have to see whether he has the ability to perform that role or not. So that means I'll have to put him through a kind of, in different services, we have something called pilot aptitude battery test. So wherein a person is actually put to the test and see whether he has that ability, and with the training, he can be brought to that level wherein he can actually perform the role. So similarly, same analogy could be applied in the corporate also, particularly for the freshers, that when you go out for recruiting people, you test whether the individual has basic minimum aptitude to perform any function, and then depending upon the requirement, the company trains an individual and puts him on the job. So that is how the company, but yes, once you become experienced, definitely not many companies prefer to go for aptitude test, than probably they build on your technical knowledge. But at a fresher level, the company has not earmarked a particular job profile for you against which you can be tested. Yes, technical knowledge is also side by side checked. But for specialized knowledge, technical knowledge takes specialized jobs. Technical knowledge takes preference. But for journalistic nature, wherein if I'm hiring a person from, say, computers, from mechanical, from electrical, then I can't go, to the individual level, but a common aptitude test would suffice, that the person has the ability to learn new skill set and would be able to perform new job in a new environment.
Thank you so much, sir, for that answer. And Vidhi is back. So, Vidhi, unfortunately, we had to go through the flow of the webinar, and your questions were asked by Shubham and Ritik. But no worries. We always have a recording, so you can go through the answers. And you
we are
also
going to
have
share
another
a few
question.
of.
Yeah.
She will ask some other questions.
Yeah.
In place of Shubham Ritik. Please go ahead.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Sure. Okay. So let's move on to our next student panelist, who is Shubham. So Shubham was born and brought up in Tekari in Bihar, but lives in Faridabad now. His father is a businessman and his mother is a homemaker. He has two brothers. First one is pursuing BBA and the second one is in class 12th. His hobbies are to explore new things and places and playing games. So his degree has given him a range of skills that he feels are crucial for his career and life. Despite having limited exposure, he has understood that hard work and determination can make anything possible. And his ambition is to join a company or go for higher studies. So what he has learned is something which is very insightful. And a fun fact about him is that the first song he hears in a day, he sings that all day long. So that's about Shubham. So I would request Shubham to please ask your question to our esteemed panelist, Nakshi ma'am.
Yeah. Hello, Nakshi ma'am.
Yeah, hi.
So my question is how to digitalizations affecting the education system, because when the pandemic is going and when the classes were going online, like lots of students and my friends also tell them the education is affecting by the digitalization. This is not the same thing that is gonna in a physical way. So according to you, what do you think, ma'am?
So digitization, of course, is affecting the education system. One, because given the pandemic, if you just look at it in the light of the current pandemic, what we have seen is that it really brought about the importance of the digitization. There were students who were not able to attend colleges, not able to attend schools, but they were still able to, study and carry on with their programs in a digital manner from the remote locations. So, however, it's a two-edged thing. So there are some institutions. So first thing is the access to, infrastructure, digital infrastructure for these students. So if you don't have net connectivity or you have issues and it's not a smooth connection, or you don't have access to a machine, say, for example, which, prior to COVID, lots of people and students did not have access to, then it is definitely impacting them. It has impacted their level. But if you see going forward, this is like, today the mobile phones have become, an amenity which is readily available to most people. I think same is going to happen going forward with the things like laptops, internet connectivity as well. It's going to be the reaches now. The connections are right now not so good in some of the remote locations, but I think going forward as the years progress, it will eventually improve. But in terms of the quality of education, it actually depends from institution to institution. There's some institutions who have made a good use of it. In fact, For me right now, I'm on a sabbatical and I'm pursuing an executive program, which is a full-time program in the Netherlands, but I'm right now pursuing it from India because it's an online program. I personally do not find that there is a deterioration in the quality because it's an online program. Because I'm able to have access to the slides very well. I'm even able to ask questions on a Zoom session with my professor. But had there been connection issues, it would have been an issue. At the same time, there are certain programs, on which despite digitization, you may not be able to, reap the full benefits of the program, which require practical skills. So if you're in the medical or engineering, wherein some applied skills are needed, you have to be in the lab to perform certain things. Or there are certain courses which really involve a lot of group work, and to be close to other students, then it could be a problem. But mostly in lab oriented programs wherein there's some lab work required, it does become a challenge. Otherwise, the technology has reached a level wherein online anything, any access or any help that you seek can be accessed easily over the screen. But then it is definitely affecting education, which requires practical orientation. So, and I think for that, despite the pandemic, organizations and institutions are taking steps to make sure that in such fields, students are still able to come to the institution and do some assignments.
As you told, ma'am, we have to also assign that laboratories and the lab to make the digitalizations. And according to that, my another question is this: is it will all students be able to access and take part in digital education? Because our prime minister also do lots of programs and to make India digital, but lots of students I think don't have this type of things to be access the digital education. So what do you think?
Yeah, so one thing is availability of the connection. So that connection and Wi-Fi connectivity is definitely important, which is slowly reaching even the remote locations. The other is the availability of a machine or a laptop. That I think if people don't have machine today, even from your phone, you can very well attend a proper session. So there people you have these apps on your phone, so you don't even need to have a proper laptop to be able to access these sessions. But yeah, for practical programs, I think you would need to be present physically in the institution, especially for a like a medical field or an engineering field, or even in some cases certain computer projects.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
So I think maybe Mr. Kuldeep can also answer that part of your question, since he's he would be maybe better equipped to address that question about the reach of the digitization.
Yeah, Meenakshi, so you very well covered it, but in fact, if you allow, then I would like to add to the first part of the question, where whether how online education is affecting. In fact, uh, prior this pandemic set in, most of the universities were planning to go online. Online education has its own merits, but this pandemic has though demerits also, but it has kind of pushed that online strategy to and expedited its implementation well before actually it was planned. So online education, yeah, you said very correctly that the practical aspects are missing, but then now I've seen a lot of models wherein people sitting in metros are able to impart instruction in very, very remote areas where the digital penetration is there. But unfortunately, as you very correctly pointed out, that digital penetration is still low. As per last statistics which I've seen, is only 30% of the students population is able to take online classes effectively. So that there are certain limitations, but in the coming time, we'll see that online education is going to stay and would be more useful to the students. Is the classroom education may have certain kind of merits, but then the limitation of classroom education are kind of fulfilled by the online education.
And I think just to add to that point, going forward, one major advantage is that students in remote locations can, take online education from any university, not just in India but across the world. So you without having the need to travel. So that takes care of a big problem, and that could very well become the norm going forward. So I think the trend's moving towards that. A lot of online education programs that are gaining popularity, and they're even sometimes more popular than some of the from good universities, are more popular than the in-person programs in some of the some of the other universities.
Absolutely, ma'am.
Thank you so much for that answer. And I think that question led to a lot of deliberation. So thank you, students, for that question. And now I think Vidhi missed asking her question. So the next question is going to be asked by her. Vidhi, go ahead and please ask your question to Mr. Kuldeep, sir.
Okay. Hello, sir. So my question is that many that is the time of placements, and freshers would be very nervous at the time of interview. So how we handle that situation when one does not know the answer for an interview question, because everyone will be sometimes disheartened or will be demotivated. So how we handle that situation?
Okay, Vidhi. So I'm aware that this is not your original question, but you have
But sir,
added.
this is a common. This is a
Yeah, yeah.
common
No, no.
question.
On the
That's
lighter
why.
side, I'm just saying. You have added certain things to this question. So I will accordingly, try to answer this. So what happens is, as a fresher, you brought in the aspect of being nervous in the interview. So that's nervousness, certain kind of nervousness is absolutely required to perform better. Then that means all your mental and physical faculties are at the peak to handle any situation. So a slight nervousness is not an issue, but how you can overcome this, and the when you don't know the answer, probably it adds to your nervousness. So what is the best strategy here is, number one, first of all, you have to understand this as a fresher or an experience, whatever the case may be. It is not necessary that you have to know everything, that is one, but that should not be always the answer. I mean, if you don't know the answer, then you take a pause, think over it. Maybe because of nervousness, you are not able to come up with a good answer. Probably you would like to skip that, but what is the best strategy is take a pause, think over it, whether you can answer it or not. While answering it, be reasonably, come out with a reasonable answer, because sometimes, during interview, when you say, sir or ma'am, I don't know the answer to this, the interviewer would still like to you to answer, whatever he would ask you to, or he would in a way force you indirectly to share your views on that particular thing. At that point of time, you should come out with a reasonably good answer. Don't be, totally bluff that, this is what I have done. Because I have seen during my interviews, I mean, when both sides, when I was giving interview or while I was taking interview, if you come out with a reasonably good answer, I mean, from bird's eye view, if you think, yeah, and think aloud while you are kind of thinking, and then come out with a reasonable answer. Suppose you totally bluff it, then the interview, rather than interview, it get converted into an kind of interrogation. Then the interview starts feeling, okay, okay, let me prove him wrong, because he knows, I mean, by virtue of his experience, that whatever you're answering is not that you're not done it. Same is the case whether you know the answer or you don't know the answer. If you are absolutely blank, then there's no harm in saying, I don't know about much about this. But even sometimes you will face a question wherein you know the answer, but you know it partially. At that point of time, also you have to be very cautious in terms of answering it in such a way that the interviewer is satisfied. Okay, don't just bluff totally. Then the rest of interview is you will keep satisfying. He will keep probing you, and you'll keep satisfying it. Your interview turns into kind of interrogation kind of thing, right? If Meenakshi wants to add, she's most welcome.
Yes. So, my only thing is, of course, it's always, as Mr. Darkar said, it's always better to take a pause. It's okay. Very often in an interview, we feel if we don't reply immediately, you suddenly become, that stress catches on to you. So it's okay to take a pause. And, the interviewer also knows that, okay, this person is thinking it through. And then if you don't know, especially if it's a technical question, then you can't really bluff through it. Then it's better to say that, okay, I know to this extent because I've studied this much. This is possibly something I have, maybe either, you would not remember it. So you should say, I did study it, but I don't seem to remember it right now. It's okay to say that because you can't cram everything. Very often, there's some things, if you haven't gone through it, that's okay to say that, and at least I, as an interviewer, always would, value the honesty, because one thing that was brought out is, apart from, like you said, what is the aptitude test all about? And, in an interview, companies also want to not just check your knowledge, but also, how well you and how honest you are and how you handle a situation. So this brings out your, the integrity of a person. So if you're just trying to bluff through it, just to make sure you want to impress somebody, then it may, not work in your favor. So it's okay to take a pause, say, I don't know, if you really don't know, or if you should just say, I know this much, so this much. And so as a reasonable alternative, like when you say, okay, what could be a reasonably good answer? If you know something close to that, okay, I know this much, which is the basic thing, but beyond that, I think either I can't remember it, or I can't seem to recall it. It's okay to say that.
Okay, ma'am. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, speakers, for that answer. And this question was very valid, because once you go to an interview, it always seems like students feel like, it's something, a very stressful situation where, as Kuldeep sir said, an interrogation is taking place. But on the other hand, it's not like that. The interviewers are just trying to find out about you, about your knowledge. And so in that process, as Meenakshi ma'am said, try to be as honest as possible, because that is something that will be valued by the interviewer. Don't try to bluff, and just try to be yourself. And I think, thank you so much for that answer. That would really help us students. Let's move on to Ritik. So now Ritik is also a final year BCA student. He's from Rampur in Uttar Pradesh. His father is a businessman and his mother is a homemaker. He has a brother in class 11th. His hobbies are listening to music, going to holy places, and donating blood. So he is a very generous person, and his ambition is to become a banker. As you can see, he loves to do all these activities. And a fun fact about him is that he can start singing anytime and at any place. So, Ritik, I think when you're on mute, you're singing, right?
Or you can start singing now.
You can start singing now. So let's go ahead, and you can sing and ask your question. But this is something that will require a context. So go ahead, Ritik. You can ask your question any way you want to, Meenakshi ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, my question is, will taking online classes affect OPT, optional practical training requirement? Uh, some graduate and undergraduate student will not take a training in a proper way at time.
Yes, Ritik, I think to some extent, taking online classes has impacted optional practical training requirements, because while most of the companies have realized that they're able to function effectively in a remote manner as well. But we've seen that when it comes to internship, lots of companies who were known to typically take interns are, saying we do not do off-campus kind of a program anymore. However, on the other hand, there are other companies, so it depends and varies from industry to industry, who have realized that, you know, the online platform has worked very well for their business, and they would be very open to, you know, taking people online, because it also takes care of lots of logistics challenges for them. At the same time, in terms of, you know, what I would say is, certain organizations would not prefer online OPT, because you are new students, and this is you know, very important aspect of an internship is not just you know, doing the job, because very often interns are still not you know, equipped enough to start working from day one, but it is also a part of amalgamating with the team, being there on a daily basis. So while that is possible in a physical environment, because even if you're not really working with somebody, you're able to observe them at their workplace, which is a very important part of work, you know, an internship, and you can see how things are being done in our organizations. That is an aspect that you miss out on in an online environment, and therefore for some organizations it may not work, and they may actually not have an online OPT program. But there are others who would, I think, welcome an online OPT program, and it depends from organization to organization.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So thank you, ma'am, for that answer. And move on to Shankar. Shankar, please go ahead and ask your question.
Ma'am, my question is to Kuldeep sir. How absolutely will the COVID-19 situation affects on our job opportunities, sir?
Okay, Shankar, I'll answer this question like this. So job opportunities, it depends upon the sector or the particular industry. In the sense, this COVID thing has actually pushed a lot of agenda on the automation and computerization of the things. In fact, my area of AI and machine learning, most of the companies are, all those manual works are being replaced by the automation thing. So this COVID-19 thing, yes, it has given the industry, like the way we are reimagining Indian universities or colleges, same way the industry is also reimagining itself to operate in a different manner. For example, my last company, JP Morgan, is working online, and in the new policy which has come is that 30% of the workforce would remain, will continue working online even if the things normalize. So that means whether they like it or not, or it would be on rotation basis. Actually, it has given an opportunity to the industry to cut cost on several things which would otherwise, would have continued the similar manner. So it depends what sector or the industry are you targeting. Say if you are targeting the industry wherein there is a lot of manual and repetitive kind of work, those industry are going to get very hard hit. Whereas the industry where there is more intellectual abilities are required, that industry will have more opportunities. I mean, the students will have more opportunities to work in that kind of industry. So it will definitely, there is kind of uncertainty in the job environment. Even the companies are trying to figure out how they are going to operate in the future. It will continue to affect in some more time. But once the thing stabilizes, then some sectors would be gainer and the others are going to lose out in this. So as a student, if I would have been at your place, yes, I would look for, depending obviously on my interest level, I would look for the industry which is going to flourish in terms of, almost all industries are acquiring this automation. So target the industry where where there's not much manual or repetitive kind of work.
And I also feel, just to add that, and while it is also industry focused, it is also within the industry, there is been a realignment. If you look at the tourism sector, say for example, there's a lot of travel. So the industry was impacted because a lot of travel international was banned, and so was the domestic travel. But now, with the domestic travel opening up, some of the hotels which were in India have actually started doing even better than pre-COVID times, because people who used to earlier look at a foreign vacation are now looking at traveling within India. So there's been a realignment. So if you're looking at the hotel industry, maybe that it's not that the entire industry has suffered, but there are certain aspects. So people who are looking, travel agents who were in the sector looking for sending people abroad, maybe they have suffered, but they have to realign their business, or people coming from abroad. But then people within the domestic sector, the domestic tourism has started looking up. So there would be opportunities there. So you have to find the right fit where you think the opportunities still lie.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Moving on to Vidhi. Vidhi, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, ma'am. My question is that what would be the role of technology in education after the pandemic? That digitalization increased after the pandemic, as everyone know. But what is the major role other than digitalization and the online classes?
So, of course, the role of technology, one, as you already mentioned, that organizations and institutions are realizing that, the reach of technology can be far and wide. It's not just institutions, but organizations as well have realized, that coming to work does not really matter anymore for some of the organizations. Similarly, on an education perspective, as I earlier answered as well, if there is there's a lab work involved, then maybe one would still need to continue to be there. But what I have observed is that in an online sphere, your interaction at times is even closer, in the sense that right now you're able to talk face to face. You can, if you go into a big classroom, you won't even know some of your fellow students. You won't even remember their names. Here you can see on Zoom their names being flashed. So you are able to communicate with them. And then you're able to parallelly work on your machine while the professor is teaching, which is a big thing. Otherwise, if you're in a classroom setup, you're just in the listening mode. Whereas when you're in an online system, you can actually work on your machine while the professor is teaching. You can share your screen, you can collaborate, you can work on a document simultaneously. Like we've been working on certain case studies wherein we were just putting the document in the Google form. There are 5 people and we were all working on the document simultaneously. So it has made the whole process in some ways much more efficient as compared to if we were in a physical session, and it's efficient and less time consuming. So to that extent, I think and this is a benefit that I think students and institutions are realizing, and they're realizing that times the online education works better if you don't have to be practically present for some lab work or something. It works at times much better. Your interaction with the professor is at a close quarter. He can talk to you personally. You can even have breakout rooms within a classroom, and you can on a Zoom session or on an online session, and you can work in smaller groups. Professor can go around in those groups in a digital. It's not just, and even homework, submitting assignments, examinations have been done online as well, and there are mechanisms to even proctor the students. Online proctoring is also now possible, so to make sure that there is no and one good I think benefit of this is lots of institutions, some of them do not want to proctor because there are a lot of privacy challenges around proctoring and looking at the private space of an individual. So therefore lots of institutions are now looking at open book examinations, which is, I think, a good development in education, because then the students, rather than focusing on cramming, are focusing on how to apply the concepts, which is, I think, a very positive development. But I hope it answers your question.
So can I add,
Yes,
Nakshi, something?
Yes, sure.
Okay. So being from the Navy, I'll say when a naval ship sails out in the sea and in the middle of sea you realize that one particular part or the spare part is not available or it has malfunctioned. then either you send the chopper back to the shore to get the spare part, or the ship will have to sail back to the shore to get the spare part. But with technology now, 3D printing available, a guy sitting anywhere would be able to print that cut part in the ship itself. Similarly, a doctor operating from US can, without any manual intervention through robotics, he can carry out a surgery in India. Similarly, I mean, India or any other country can wage a war on a country without actually sending the troops on the ground. Similarly, in case of education also, there are lot of, I would say, rumors only that even the technology in education can replace the teaching staff at 100%. In the sense, some of the universities in the US are actually experimenting with this in the sense of there's something called personalized learning. A professor in a class of 30 cannot address each individual's requirement. Each individuals come from a different background. It has the individual has got different aspiration, different motivation level for particular content. But as of now, compulsory you have to read all the subjects, probably write exam for that, whether you like it or not. But with the technology, then you can choose your, once you've decided that you want to go in a particular field. So the technology will offer you that personalized tutor. I mean, that you don't have to sit in a class of 30 to listen to a professor who's teaching something which is of no interest to you. So in coming time, the technology is going to revolutionize the way we learn. And what Meenakshi has very aptly covered, that now probably going forward in the future, we don't have to mug up things. Things would be available at click away. It is the learning which and the application of it which an individual has to fund. The individual mind or the brain doesn't have to become a what do you call storage device. It would be more of a application part which one has to focus. So it would ease off the burden of mugging up things, and more clear and targeted learning the technology going to offer in coming time. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. It's great that these questions are being answered by both of you. So our students are very lucky to have the insights of both on each question. So
before we move on,
yes, sir.
Meenakshi talked about open book exams. Very true. Our education system has been only cramming. About 30 years ago, when I was in B school, we had a professor, Professor Vanjo, Mike Vanjo. He's unfortunately not alive anymore. He conducted a open book, open-ended test exam where you could get as many books as you want and take as many days as you want to write your exam. And you can guess very well, it was impossible to answer all the questions. So I think cramming and knowledge gaining are two different themes altogether. And I think technology will help us, but how does technology help a mind to think is still an area which is still in the realm of still discussions. Anyway, over to you, Srishti.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Question.
Yeah, let's go ahead with the last question and call it a wrap. Please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. My question is that what technologies must be used or installed in colleges which would help to explore our knowledge? Like AI is a very popular technology installed that in colleges, so many colleges. But other than the AI, what are the technologies that we installed in our colleges which help us to explore our knowledge and which is help us in our career opportunities?
So I don't know about your university, but I think quite some universities, and it's not really so much about technology. The technologies are already available. It's not even about new technologies, but if you could have access through your student ID to a vast library of database, that would be so if your university could possibly register with some of the large databases and sites which are already available to where scholarly articles are available and journals are available for students to do research. That could be one thing. Secondly, now, and I think most schools also follow that, the entire student's, timeline and the courses that he or she has registered for are all available online. So the student will have his own. So I think there are, application portals wherein you could go and you could, which most universities have installed. And you could access your profile, your grades there, your subjects that you've registered for, your other fellow participants with their email IDs, and pages wherein you can refer to different resources which are available with the college. So I think this central repository of database in a single application, quite some universities are following, and I think that's something which not really a technology, but yeah, it's a platform and connectivity for the students that should be made available so that they can access the repository of database that's available for the institutions and for students.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Over to you, Munish.
Yeah, thank you very much for all. Okay, I think as always, these sessions are very, very interactive because in these interactions, students participate and they raise their queries, which are very relevant in today's context for them. And as always, our panelists, Nakshi and Mr. Kuldeep, thank you for enlightening the students and letting know the students of their aspirations, their concerns, their ideas. I think this session is really, really very, very informative and helpful to all the students. I think see, we are all on a mission, right? And every time, what the baby steps which we take help us reach out to our ultimate objective, or Har Student Banega Atmanirbhar. I think that is our focus, and that's we continue our journey to reach out to every student across the country and help them, become Atmanirbhar. I would like to thank all the students over here for asking very relevant and pertinent questions. And my endeavor over at Jeevitam is always to help you students, find sustainable livelihood. So the way forward for you is to do a college placement drive. I think KG sir and Srishti will follow up with you to get the college placement drive done in your college. Okay, that is the first step towards it. This is a virtual college placement drive, so no student need to move out of their homes. No corporate needs to travel to your college premise, and no corporate need to travel to you, okay, to help it out. So I think this is something which we need to do to understand it out. And this, we are not charging anything right now, Mr. Kuldeep, just for your information, with the colleges for the initial months, so that these colleges at least understand it out, the whole objective of what we are trying to do. So I think this is pretty good. Thank you all for this, this. We would like to have a group picture, Srishti tells me. So let's do that.
So on a count of 3, I would request everybody to, everybody's there?
Yes, everybody's there.
Great.
You have come back to the next picture.
Yeah, yes. On a count of 3, 1, 2, and 3.
Once more.
Okay. Just a second.
Change of guard.
So today the lighting system is not that good in my office, so probably I'll miss out on this.
No problem, sir. You are shining.
Same condition with me, sir.
Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Thank you so much, everyone.
I just want to tell Mr. Kuldeep and Nakshi, today was a Jugalbandi webinar. We like the way you both contribute to the same questions. I think that's something that we learn and take it ahead as a new way of conducting webinars. So I think thanks a lot. Thank you very much for being candid in your answers and sharing life experiences. We'll keep in touch.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, KG sir and Srishti ma'am, for organizing this webinar for us. And thank you to Kuldeep sir and Meenakshi ma'am also.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. KG and Mr. Muniz for giving me opportunity. Last time, Mr. KG, when you approached, I was slightly occupied, so I couldn't join.
I know
for that.
But we will keep chasing. I like the way I chased Meenakshi ji. Meenakshi ji, unfortunately, that day had worked through the night, had gone to sleep at 9 a.m. in the morning. And I
actually, I'm working on a program and I have my exams coming up in a couple of days, and I had some assignments to submit. So, and you know, I was working on a machine learning assignment, so for the first time. So that was a new thing for me, which took me a lot of time.
True. And thanks to your husband that he picked up the phone and said, please don't call anymore. Call us in the evening. But we changed it. Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining us with your time in the constraint. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much.